Quick video about the importance of calming sympathetic dominance, adrenaline dominance, and the impact it can have on long hauler COVID. Let's take a look. So we have a 49-year-old female patient with main complaints of COVID. Now she had no hunger or thirst cues, flu-like symptoms daily. Then in August of 21, so after 5 months, sleep and appetite issues started to creep in. She couldn't sleep at all, started to feel crazy. Then in October of 2021, things got even worse. She says, every day I wake up with a sensation of the flu and heavy anxiety at the same time. I've got major hypoglycemia attacks. They mimic seizures, but I am present. On her own, she stopped her Ambien, which she was taking at night, and the shakes have been gone. Her digestion, she has 3 to 7 bowel movements today, which are all loose. She describes them as pudding poo, so you get the idea. She has to take 3 to 4 Imodiums per day. She also has daily acid reflux and has her whole life. Her mood is horrible. It's depression-like. Her insomnia is horrible. She takes a sleep aid if needed and additionally Valium. Her past history, she had allergies to things like cats, asthma until her early 20s, hypoglycemia her whole life. That's a big deal. Hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, directly related to sympathetic overload and fight or flight. Lots of strep throat. That's also another major clue because it indicates some sort of immune system compromise. And of course, from that, she ended up with a lot of antibiotics. She was also diagnosed with a benign tumor at S1, S2. That's your sacrum down low in your spine. Could be affecting the parasympathetic nervous system per surgeon. So could the parasympathetic nervous system not be responding appropriately or over-responding, overactive? So here is her graph that we did to measure the 12 major organ systems. We can do this electrically in the office as a test that only takes about 4 to 5 minutes. And you can see the 12 major organ systems listed below. Things like lungs, hormones, fight or flight system right here. Stomach tends to show up green on a lot of these tests, even though you have a long-term history of acid reflux. So the stomach steals a lot of resources from these other systems in order to maintain balance. On our second session, we see that things improved in the sense that energy went down, so it doesn't, we're not where we want to be yet, but we don't have these purple split imbalances anymore. That's her hormones, that's her small intestine, here are her kidneys. So what did we do with her? We started her off, as I do with many people, by improving acid production in the stomach. You use something called betaine HCl. Adrenal cortex, as I discuss in my book, that's the brakes. Everyone thinks of poor cortisol as the stress hormone, and yes, cortisol is high when it's measured under stress, but cortisol calms down adrenaline. It's the antidote to adrenaline. So it's extremely important to use to dampen down and to tamper down the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system in the early stages. DHEA, when I need to use that, typically hormones are greatly involved to the point where they're very out of balance, low, depleted, and so we even need a testosterone precursor like DHEA to boost the hormones. Another critical ingredient was potassium. It's one of your main electrolytes along with salt. You will always use electrolytes when you're doing adrenal gland repair and trying to calm down the fight or flight system. To directly address her immune system, I use the compound berberine. Berberine boosts what's called the Th2 side of the immune system. Quickly, the Th1 side helps you if you have a cold. The Th2 side helps you if you need to overcome allergies. Vitamin D was important. She had a product called Multi-Immunity that also tested well. I put her on my gentle GI diet, including low wheat, which is in my book. She had a powder called Calm. Many of you are probably familiar with it. It's a magnesium-based powder. So that was what we did originally. Then her second and third visits, we added in some calcium. And then I added in my powder, the Core Calm 7-in-1 powder. I didn't start with my powder. There's too many ingredients in my powder for some people, especially if you have to do something like address hormones early on. So if I don't have to address hormones early on, we can jump right into my powder. But if we do have to address hormones early on, then we wait a month or two. In her case, it was only about 3 weeks. At the 6-week mark, we added in my powder. Here's how she responded. In the next visit, just 3 weeks later, she no longer needed Tums anymore. She had no acid reflux. She had acid reflux for years, and yet just by doing these simple steps, she didn't need acid reflux medicine anymore. Not as many bowel movements. She's down to 3 or 4 a day from 5 to 7 and more solid. That's a big deal. She still has a flu-like feeling that's there. Sleep is still an issue, but she's starting to feel sleepy and has not felt sleepy for 1.5 years. So things are starting to shift in the nervous system, the central nervous system. And this is only after 3 weeks. Her anxiety is also much better. So I just want to reiterate, the power of calming down the fight or flight system has big impact on the entire body. It's going to start to help her hypoglycemia. It's going to start to help those flu-like symptoms, as we're going to see shortly. It's also going to help her start to sleep. At her 3rd visit, she had no acid reflux. Her bowel movements were 2 to 3 a day, sometimes even 1, so her digestive system greatly improving. It's important to recognize that 60% of your immune system is in your digestive tract. So if you want to help the immune system, you have to fix the gut. Flu-like symptoms slowly improving, sleep, slow improvement. She's running less now, 3 times a week. Occasionally it makes her feel more sick. In my book, I address exercise. If you over-exercise in a state of sympathetic dominance with adrenaline dominance, fight or flight as a primary background issue in your life, you will train your body to stay in fight or flight. You have to slow down your exercise. It's called restercise. So this is a very important point. If you don't slow down your exercise, you won't calm down fight or flight. If you continue to do high intensity exercise, and a lot of it's based off of your heart rate, as I describe in my book, then you're training your body to stay in fight or flight. It thinks it's still supposed to be in that state because your exercise says so. So we have to wind back the exercise, slow things down so that your body knows, hey, I can come out of this fight or flight state. I guess the bear's not chasing me anymore. I can slow down. So that was just a quick case study, 6-week period of time, started to see significant improvements, even in something like long haul or COVID. But we addressed everything. We addressed the digestive system, the blood sugar system, the hormones. We've directly put in electrolytes. I followed the 10 steps in my book. I recommended my gentle GI diet. So the good news is big changes happen, but you do have to address several things at the same time. However, it's not difficult. I lay it out for you clearly in the book, and you can have the same sort of results no matter what you're dealing with.